And we are live. Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Rebel No Shorty, and I've realised I left the comic book over here, so I've got to go grab it. And today, I'm going to review Black Adam. It's what I've been kind of looking forward to reading and reviewing because I don't really know much about Black Adam, so I'm going to it clean. I'm aware he is Shazam's nemesis, and he is like Superman level powers. Basically, he's got some magic and strength, and like Shazam, he can do the thing where he flips between the superpowered being and the other person. There begins and ends everything I know about Shazam going into this one. So, is it accessible? Do you need to read a whole bunch of stuff? Is the info dropped too much? These are all valid questions, but thankfully, none of my answers are going to be negative for it. There is quite a lot of information in this comic book. You do get quite a lot of dialogue and quite a lot of exposition. But it all works. It all feels natural. It all feels like it is part of the story. It doesn't feel like it's jammed in there to make life any easier for somebody who doesn't know what's going on. But it does actually make life easier for me. So big kudos for this has been like a good jumping on point for people. Always hard to do in anything like a DC or a Marvel title, no matter how new a character may be or how many appearances solo or part of the team they've had. There's always that risk that you're going to end up alienating people because you're going to be calling back to a whole bunch of stuff which nobody has any real, well, not many people have recollection for. So solid out of the gate, get that over and done with, and it works perfectly. Artwork is fantastic as well, which is kind of necessary. This is dealing with a whole bunch of different kinds of story, and having an art style which represents all that is really quite cool. Rafa Sandoval is the artist on this one, and his work reminds me in a very positive way of Wildstorm comic books, specifically to like The Authority and even Planetary to a certain degree. There is a sense of epic scale to an awful lot of the big events that are happening. There's a fight between Black Adam and I believe Darkseid or some kind of Darkseid clone in the opening act, which is huge in scale and takes place on an asteroid. Which is fantastic, by the way. Pretty much the only weird little criticism I have of that is there's a couple of moments where in the middle of a fight scene, which is usually kind of a frenetic thing, there's quite a lot of dialogue on the page at a few moments. And I've said this before, is a moment in an early comic book of Marvel where Wolverine, jumping through the air, claws extended, manages to get out like 2 entire paragraphs of dialogue while in the air, apparently. And yes, I know timing in comic books, it's like a fixed moment in time, but also has to exist over a few seconds, that kind of thing. I too totally get that as like a restriction on the medium. But sometimes you can draw attention to it and sometimes you don't have to. This feels like it was drawing attention to it a little bit, and it did pull me out ever so slightly. But I do say ever so slightly because the rest of the dialogue is absolutely fantastic and amazing and all of it matters. It reminds me a little bit of the West Wing in terms of like the dialogue and also the pacing of it and how it's kind of done in motion. There's very few moments where people are just sat talking to each other. I mean, there's a police interrogation, there's an oversight committee hearing, but even then people are moving. And when they're not, there's an excellent bit where I've forgotten his name. Black Adam's real life person is looking very louche and lounging around, and even him sitting still looks like it's flowing and got energy to it, which is really quite nice. And the interrogation, you still get a sense of urgency from it, even though one person is clearly just trying to derail the conversation. And here we get to the fun bit. There's another character in this one who gets introduced, Dr. White, who's a medical intern who starts the comic book by giving medical aid to a white nationalist, and Dr. White being at least a person of color, I'm guessing Egyptian from context, it's quite a fun thing to happen. And you find yourself liking him quite a lot. He's charming and witty, and he's also kind of off-putting in an interesting way. There is a moment where you realize he may not be the nicest guy in the world, but other people may disagree with me on exactly when you have this realization. I'm sure there's some people who will tell you the way he spoke to police officers had him as a bad guy, but this is somebody who doesn't have much power with dealing with police, and his attitude I thought was perfect. It was when he's talking to a female friend, he uses the dreaded phrase "friend zone." I mean, at least the writer has the courtesy to put it in air quotes, but it still makes you think, well, is this his guy's opinion on that kind of thing? What else does he have kind of a backwards way of looking at things about? And it basically means he's not just a straightforward cool character. He's also not a bad guy. I mean, we're talking comic book which has Black Adam in it. This guy just being a little bit of a pardon my friend, a bit of an arse every once in a while is definitely in the world, but it makes him interesting. It means we're not being given an idealized version of this character that we're then supposed to like have a flagpole and salute, and him being a perfect progenitor for everything that's going to happen afterwards. No, he's just a guy, and he's not perfect, and he makes mistakes, and it's kind of interesting to see how that's going to play out when he is also going to be encountering actual Black Adam. Genuinely fun start to it. Everything meshed really, really well. If you're looking to try something new from DC, I don't think you can really go too badly wrong with this one. I had an awful lot of fun. That's it from me for today, though. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.